Live from San Diego, California, this is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. With Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmo, and Mike Maciejewski, we're talking Chargers, Padres, and Aztec sports. It's time to let your voice be heard. What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome, Bolt Nation, to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans,
by the fans.
And we want to welcome you into the Chargers Shred the Bills 22-10 podcast.
Very nice.
Join the chat room and let your voice be heard. Before we dive into it, guys, I want to remind you or let you know, if you haven't been paying attention on Twitter or Facebook, we got a live podcast going on at Qualcomm Stadium between A2 and A3. We're going to be running it between 9:30 and 11, so come on down if you're going to the game. Come on down, throw a headset on, let's talk some Chargers football.
That is BYOB as well, so don't be shysty.
Oh, you can bring us beer, too. That's
yeah,
fine.
bring us some beers.
Bring us all beer.
Yeah.
Chargers, a lot of people were kind of suspect about us going across to the East Coast and pulling this off against the Bills. They're 2-0. Another really good defense, the third week in a row. We're playing a really stout defense. And, Phillip Rivers and company, they really took it to the Buffalo Bills. Yes, it wasn't high scoring.
Right.
We didn't blow them away.
No.
But we arguably dominated them from beginning to end.
Right. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that goes back to something that our good friend Mikey was saying a lot in the last show, and that is I'm going to paraphrase. I don't have his exact quote, but E.J. Manuel is shit. I think it's pretty much what he was saying.
That was very evident in that ballgame.
He was saying the whole time, and the fact that we didn't do a lot offensively, I thought, was because we had absolutely no fear at all of E.J. Manuel driving them down and bringing them back for the win. So we got super conservative. And me personally, I was fine with it. I was like, run the ball 4 times and punt it deep. That clown cannot bring them back.
Bring him on the field because he knew he was going to make a mistake. Or he just wasn't even accurate.
Yeah, it wasn't even the mistakes. He just wasn't doing that good.
No, he got out of the pocket a little bit. It was not concerning to me because he didn't really go anywhere. He wasn't killing us with his feet, so that was cool. We were containing him. But, yeah, it was one of those games, guys, we talked about. It's a little uneasy, cross-country. Chargers have a habit of dropping games like that, and it was good to see them play good, sound football, make some key plays at key times, and really just keep the ball out of their hands and do what they need to win the football game on the road.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, man, I mean, there was no in the article that we wrote this week. Can't remember. We have
San Diego SportsJunkies.com. Go to our blog.
Can't remember which one. We have so many up right now. But
thank you. And you're not fired, by the way.
Thank you.
You're still all leading.
I got fired. Remember? I'm only on the radio show now.
But there was at no point in this game did you go, holy shit, E.J. Manuel's coming on the field. We're gonna let this one slide. At no point did you feel that way. You felt pretty confident that the Bills weren't gonna be able to move the ball. And like I mentioned in the article, and I actually double checked this, 81 of his 230 yards were on the last drive where the Chargers were pretty much playing prevent defense.
Damn.
So
garbage points.
Yeah, pretty much. So there was no concern. I didn't feel worried in any way.
Man, how I mean, just going off your statement there, How impressed were you with the defense? I looked at what we're doing. They're flying around. Jason Verrett. I mean, it's just fun to watch this defense all of a sudden.
Hashtag Spinneroonie.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone on Twitter that's actually the return of the bad, the Raider hater. We were talking about it, and you know what? I think I've really turned a corner with this team. Like, I'm very excited. Let me ask you guys, who are you scared to lose to? It's the Patriots?
It is so funny.
Oakland.
It is so funny that you say that because somebody at my work, it was either today or yesterday, we were going through the schedule, and he was saying, I don't fear any team on our schedule. Not that we're going to win every single game.
Right.
He said the Broncos at home will be tough, but there is no team out there that they say, oh, like people were when we played against
Seattle.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that say, Chargers don't have a chance.
Yeah, including
there's no team that say that will say that about the Chargers on any game this year. There's just no way.
No, and I have that feel. I have that same sentiment. You guys hit it on. I mean, I used to go, man. It's up to Phillip Rivers. You know, we're going to get thrown on all day. It's going to be 42-45, and I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray in the corner of the room while I watch this game. Now I have a little confidence. I'm stoked about this defense, guys.
You know why I think we have confidence? Because our defense has stepped up in a big way.
Yes.
Through the first 3 weeks, they've played really, really good football. And they give you that sense that if Phillip Rivers and the offense has a bad day, our defense can contain the team and we can still win the game.
The team. They could put it on their shoulders for a change, and I truly believe that.
I think beating the Seattle Seahawks was what gives me this confidence. I mean, they are pretty much the toughest team on the schedule. So you say, oh, you know, you're going to lose to so-and-so. You're going to lose at the Ravens. Really? Like, we beat the Seahawks. The Ravens are nowhere near where the Seahawks are, even if it's at home. So, I mean, that, like I said, we were discussing, and we're just saying, that fear of these other teams is gone.
Mikey, as Mike McCoy would say, one game at a time, okay?
Yeah.
you're already you're in like week 17. Baltimore Ravens.
Let's take a step back to the Bills game. And one thing that I noticed is the fact that the defense was playing so well. I agree with you guys as far as you saying I'm not afraid of E.J. Manuel coming back. But at the same time, I felt that our offense in the fourth quarter was lackluster.
Right.
And even though we beat them 22-10, and Mike McCoy was even on NFL.com, if you go on and watch his post-game speech in the locker room, he was even saying that, we did really good, men. We did really good out there today. Our defense, offense, special teams, everybody did really well. But the fourth quarter, we needed to step up our game.
Right.
I feel that we were not as productive as we should have been.
Right. Should have been. Yeah.
And I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, and I've actually made a drinking game out of his post-game speeches. And every time he says men, I try to take a shot.
Yeah.
So
you can't drive.
Yeah, no, and, in all serious matter, no, and that's it. I believe that they can handle this now, and I think they're up to the challenge this season.
And Darren here in the chat room says it's a bummer. Sorry, Sammy Watkins didn't play. Yeah, I noticed.
He definitely didn't show up. That's for sure.
I noticed someone condemned the ball.
EJ kept throwing it at his feet.
Yeah,
every time he threw it to him, he'd be at his shoelaces.
Well, you saw another thing. SoCal Trav in the chat room says Weddle's hit was epic. That dude ran home to his mommy. If you remember, after that, Sammy Watkins got a ball thrown to him, and he had absolutely
T-Rex.
no interest in catching that ball.
The little T-Rex
in traffic, and I thought that was pretty telling, and I was thinking when we talk about the defense and what a difference a season makes. Besides the one play to Michael Floyd, have our cornerbacks really given up anything?
And that was just a bad play by, I think it was Sharice Wright that game. Yeah, and that was kind of like a miscommunication. And other than that, Jay, I'm trying to think. No, I think that's the only one I can think of.
Not that they haven't given up any catches.
No, not saying that, but big plays like that.
The difference between this year and last year, and I know it's we're getting overexcited, and that's just what happens.
I'm getting goosebumps talking to you guys. It's crazy.
Last year, how many times did somebody catch the ball and you say, "Where's the defense? The guy's wide open."
Well,
this year, the few times that the wide receivers are catching the ball, they're tackled right away.
Right.
The coverage is tight. We're making them work for it.
Right.
And
that's what's encouraging.
Our secondary is just so much different than they were last year, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
And another thing that I've noticed is how much the defensive line, which was the biggest concern, is coming together. Leggett and Reyes are looking amazing, especially Leggett, who's been a standout the last two games. But, I mean, even though he's gotten most of the credit, I kept looking up at the screen and seeing Reyes every time. And I mentioned in the last article I wrote, he comes right up the middle on the safety, and the guy has to leave his man and pull his man to avoid the safety because Reyes, if not, is going to knock down E.J. Manuel right in the end zone. So
I was listening to Local Feel It this afternoon. Corey Leggett's on there asking him, what's the reason for the step up in the game? He goes, I feel like I can just go out there and play. He goes, I don't have to just sit there on my block and not do anything. He goes, I can shed my block and go make a play now. He goes, I don't have to think about what's happening in a play. He goes, I want to be a difference maker, and that's what he's doing. He's getting after the quarterback.
And I think that has a lot to do with them being in this system now for 2 years.
Right. Comfortability,
Manti Te'o said the same thing going into this season. They asked him, what he feels about his, second year.
Definitely.
And he says, I don't have to think about where I'm supposed to be anymore. I can just make plays.
Right. Now he can sit on the sideline with his foot.
Absolutely.
And think about mental reps. I'm just kidding.
We'll
I don't want to make light of
We'll get
the
into that
situation.
soon
I
enough.
know.
I do want to shout out, Corey Leggett for being AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Anytime you can get accolades like that, I mean, it just bodes well for your confidence factor.
And it's just so crazy. Again, before the season, I remember talking to people on Twitter, talking to you guys. The biggest concern was the defensive line. Mm-hmm. We were worried like hell, like who's going to play, how are they going to do? And, I mean, Leggett has looked like a monster. Except Reyes definitely stood out to me last game. Justin, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Well, we got a tweet from Mike Costa 1360 AM radio. He says, "What's our thoughts on the running back position and the O-line efforts 3 games into the season, guys?"
Well, that's been the one thing that's been lacking a little bit. Now, Phillip Rivers he's a good enough quarterback in the passing game. He's been able to get rid of the ball fast enough before the O-line has had any issues. Not a whole lot of 7-step drops in the game plan. The rushing has been. I mean, what's the word for it? Poor, maybe.
No, it has been lackluster at best.
It's certainly been poor now for many reasons.
Pass protection, though, line.
The pass protection, he's been sacked once, I think, so far this season.
It's been great.
Now, I don't know if that's because of the line or because of Phillip, honestly.
Right.
But the rushing has been lackluster. Now, we've had a couple leads where we've just been trying to salt the game away. But aside from one run by Donald Brown and maybe a couple by Matthews, and then they've really just been barely getting back to the line and getting over that. And I don't know if that's because the 3 defensive we played have been really good. I think that this week is actually going to be really telling on that.
That's what I was going to say, too. The last 3 weeks we played 3 dominant run defenses. Arizona Cardinals, we know they're great at stopping the run. The Seattle Seahawks, enough said. And Buffalo, we talked about this before. Their front 7 are amazing. So now going against the Jaguars, if we do not see a dominant running performance, then I think we need to be worried.
Absolutely.
But if you see them dominating, then you'll have to wait another game to see a middle of the pack.
Exactly.
After that, you have the Jets again, who are, again, awesome against the run. So we'll see what they're like against middle of pack teams. But right now, against dominant defensive fronts, there's some concern. We're getting dominated for sure.
Absolutely. And we won't. Let's be honest. We won't get the true effect of our running game until we get Ryan Matthews back.
No, of course.
I don't want to take anything away from Donald Brown, but we lost Danny Woodhead. We lose Ryan Matthews. Now we're having to rely on Donald Brown to run it, 31 times. He carried it 31 times, 5 catches out of the backfield. And then, Brandon Oliver.
Yeah.
So I think truly when Ryan Matthews gets back, is when we're really going to see what our running game can do, because then you're going to have that kind of thunder and lightning.
Well, you'll see what the potential is there. And then what did we talk about all offseason before the season started? The depth at running back, how great that was. So now that injuries have occurred already, unfortunately, we got Donald Brown.
Yeah, and out here in the chat room, we got a couple of people. SD Fan 83, thanks for joining us. Referring to the McCoy interview, he says he can appreciate that, but from about 8 minutes left in the third quarter, the play calls were all conservative. Right. I can agree with that. Yeah,
extremely conservative.
I didn't have a problem with it, to be honest with you. I really didn't.
Yeah,
and again, ultimately,
you're playing against the Broncos.
You won the game, and don't nitpick.
Ultimately, it's the win. Period.
It doesn't matter.
You're playing against the Broncos. You need to play a little bit more aggressively.
The only time you get after somebody for play calling is if you're too conservative with a 2-point lead, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do to finish the game, not with a 10-point lead or whatever.
And I think as a fan, I think that we want to see the Chargers blow out an opponent.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And not just an opponent, a good opponent. If we go up against
not the Jaguars,
arguably playoff team and blow them out of the water, that's what the fans want to see.
Of course.
Obviously, you might see that this weekend against the Jaguars. I'm pretty confident we're going to do that. But it's the good teams that you want to see the Chargers do that against. And I think a little of us wanted to see that against Buffalo this weekend. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com. This will be Jake's take. Stick around and let your voice be heard.
Real quickly, also, Darren in the chat room has a crush on DJ Fluker. He wants to know if that's weird.
No, not at all.
Okay, you fantasy football players in San Diego, you know what time it is. It's your time on the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to enjoy some fantasy football smack talk with myself and the rest of the Sports Junkies. Now that preseason's over, I encourage you, our valued listener, to tune in weekly for your starts and sits and my sneaky free agent pickups of each week. So throughout the week, hit me up on Twitter at FantasyCorner17, or you can email me at thefantasycorner17@gmail.com. And always stay locked in Wednesdays on the Fantasy Corner at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Bring it.
But they can't get me down. I'm my own self by my side, and mentally we gotta be free. I see the wicked.
Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging. From business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right. Welcome back to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans.
By the fans.
And Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com is on the line. This is Jake's Take. What's up, Jake?
Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Good, man. 2-1. I couldn't be more pleased at this point of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, it was great enough just talking with you guys last week, getting the first one in Seattle, but 2 weeks in a row, I mean, who's to say what it might be just a few weeks from now if we keep this up? It's going to be amazing.
Right.
Absolutely. And, let's dive right in it. And the play from Phillip Rivers has been, phenomenal, not only through the stretch of these 3 games, but definitely, he had to shoulder the load there in Buffalo with the loss of Danny Woodhead.
Yeah, it was a big game for Phillip Rivers, having to adjust to the loss of Woodhead in the first place. But historically, if you look at Rivers' record, especially on the road, the last 5 games that he's played against the AFC East on the road, he's 1-4, and his numbers haven't been too great as far as his interception to touchdown and yardage ratio. So for him to come out, even after a huge game in Seattle, most people would think, it's a trap game. You're on this emotional high. You really played the Super Bowl champions really, really hard, and you think they just come out flat. Not only do you lose Danny Woodhead on the second play of the game, but Rivers didn't miss a beat. He goes 18 for 25 for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. He beat them with the short game. He threw a couple of deep passes to Malcolm Floyd, and most importantly of all, what we've been all talking about, the key to the Chargers offense was ball control. At the very end of the first half, he comes up with a 6-minute, I believe it was about a 56-yard drive, and then he opened up the second half with an 8-minute, 14-play, 80-yard drive for a touchdown.
Yeah.
When you can have that type of performance coming out at halftime, when you ended the first half with the ball and still putting points on the board, that is an absolute game breaker for an opposing team. It's Rivers' poise was just absolutely on par. He didn't get flustered, didn't let the effect of Danny Woodhead not being in the game bother him, and you kind of see how that opened up the offense a little bit more. You started to seeing a little bit more people getting involved in the offense, but it's clear that there was a big question in the offseason whether or not was Ken Wisenhunt going to be missed. And Frank Reich has done his due diligence, especially after the debacle in the Arizona game, to really fix what needs to be done with this Chargers offense, and he's keeping it rolling 2 weeks in a row now.
Jason here. Speaking of Phillip Rivers, one thing that we've all noticed is he seems to be running a little bit more with the ball this season.
Surprise.
Do you think that that's a conscious effort by him, or do you think that it's just a random thing that's happened? Do you think we're going to see a little bit more of him running for first downs this year?
Well, if we've learned anything about Phillip Rivers as long as he's been with this team, it's that he's ultra competitive. And I don't know if it was a a factor of, North's system of why he didn't do it that much, or the factor, of what McCoy has brought to that offense that's kind of changed it a little bit more. But it may be a little bit of both. Rivers, we all know, is going to do anything that he can to win. So for the fact that he's able to do these things and extend these drives that you see most of these young mobile quarterbacks doing, it just gives another facet to that offense that just debilitates defenses. I mean, any time where you have a 3rd and 12 play and you're able to apply perfect coverage to the wide receivers and the tight ends, and it's the quarterback on the feet that goes out and gets the first down for you to get a whole brand new set of downs, that is a backbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
It hurts so much, and extending that drive the way he's done. And personally, I love seeing the gazelle get loose
Yes.
in Phillip Rivers.
Yes.
It's great.
Hey.
I love seeing Phillip run.
Hey, Jake, it's Justin, man. It's sticking to the offensive side of the ball here. It was so good, man, to see Malcolm Floyd running down the sideline with a couple catches on Sunday. And what does that do? Explain to people what that does for the offense when you can stretch the field. In my opinion, they were focused on Keenan Allen a lot, and obviously the tight ends. That left Malcolm one-on-one with not so great a corner. So seeing him get loose was a big up for me. So what was your thoughts on Malcolm Floyd?
Man, how much did we miss the deep ball with Malcolm Floyd last year?
Absolutely.
I mean, it felt like we hadn't seen it in years.
Right.
49-yard bombs, that's back to the Vincent Jackson days,
Right.
and Malcolm Floyd days of the deep ball and the offense of the San Diego Chargers, where it was just, double coverage, it didn't matter. Phillip's going to throw it up, and one of our guys is going to come down with it. But just for the fact that it's Malcolm and to come back and to do these types of things after the injury that he suffered, number one, it's just a very gratifying thing. But again, you're seeing now what it's like to have Malcolm Floyd opposite of Keenan Allen and entrenched in that offense along with Antonio Gates and Ladarius Green and Eddie Royal. It's almost like the offense that everybody pictured in their head that was going to be is how do you defend it when you have the short, methodical, long drives that the Chargers have normally put up, and then all of a sudden Phillip Rivers drops back 5 steps and he bombs a 49-yard pass down the field. It's just another thing for defenses to prepare for. Like you said, it looked like they were more focused in on Keenan Allen. Malcolm Floyd through the first 2 games didn't really have anything.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, boom, first offensive play, he goes down the field. It's just nice to see the long ball still has not faded out from the offense. It's nice to know that Frank Reich and Coach Mike McCoy are still implementing that because they know what they have in Malcolm. They know what he can do to stretch the field. And it's just going to be another thing for opposing defenses to prepare for.
Yeah, Jake. And then, the offenses looked great passing the ball, but running the ball has been a whole different story. And losing Woodhead this week, has just compounded that issue. What are your thoughts moving forward with the running game?
Well, it's interesting with the run game. I mean, you have Donald Brown had a career high 31 runs, and he comes in, especially in the second half, he had 15 touches, yards out of it. And I don't know if it was a factor. I mean, I know we probably all saw it where it was run, pass, run, pass. And it was just, to me, it was more of the offense being careful and not wanting to turn the ball over. And, again, for a team that came out and you lose a player like that on the second play of the game, like Danny Woodhead, and you really, from that point on, they don't miss a beat. They still stay clicking. I know a lot of people want to criticize, why didn't you still take some shots downfield? Why did you still, kind of technically leave them in the game? Well, you know what? You came back with a win. Give some credit to the defense that was, not able to allow Buffalo's offense to get rolling whatsoever. So as far as the running game goes, it's going to be interesting. We lose Danny. We lost Ryan the week before that. You go out and you get Sean Drone to bring him onto the 53 along with Brandon Oliver. And again, it's not something. I think this is actually the best time that you're going to want to see kind of a resurgence of the running game. The Chargers aren't going to get away from it. Don't get me wrong. You're going up against the softest part of your schedule these next 4 weeks.
Right.
The Chargers are still going to do what they want to do with the ball. They want to still control the clock. That's their bread and butter. So as far as, it may be a depletion of the running backs as far as talent-wise goes, but you're not going to see the running game go away from the Chargers offense.
Hey, Jake, couple questions in the chat room. You just touched on Sean Drone. What are your thoughts on him? He's kind of a journeyman. I think it's, like 3 or 4 different teams so far. What are your thoughts on him? And then I don't know if you're going to transition to this later. I don't think you were. SD Fan 83 wanted your thoughts on possibly losing Manti Te'o for the season. I don't know if he heard that somewhere else or if that's even a possibility.
Well, let's start with Sean Drone. Obviously, it's actually his 6th team within 4 years, if I'm right.
Yes, you're correct.
He's been around. Yeah, been around to Kansas City, been to Baltimore, been to Indy, been to Chicago. I can't remember the other 2 teams that he's actually been with, but he's a journeyman. But as far as when you look at, a lot of people probably didn't have Sean on their radar. They were looking for bigger backs like Ben Jarvis Green Ellis,
Right.
LaMichael James. We had touched on that a couple times, and who we thought was going to be the replacement for Woodhead on Monday and Tuesday. But when you look at what Sean can do, it's not a surprise that the Chargers actually go out and they pick him up. Not only is Tom Telesco familiar with him with the time there in Indy, but he has punt return skills. If you hear his comments about pass blocking, which is exactly what you need from your running back, he's very avid about his pass blocking skills. He understands how valuable that is, even as a running back, and what that does for the passing aspect of an offense. So, again, it may be considered a Band-Aid for this point, until Ryan is able to come back. And, again, it really, in a way, in the silver lining of this is that it couldn't have happened at a better time because you have the Jaguars this week, the Jets next week, and then I believe you've got Oakland and Kansas City, 4 teams that are a combined 2-10 record.
And we don't leave California for a month. We stay in this time zone for a month.
Exactly. 3 out of the 4 of those games are at home. So Sean knows what he has to do. He understands his duty. He's 3rd on the depth chart as a running back behind Brown and Oliver, but he's going to do what he needs to do. And, I applauded for it. I like his attitude coming into the team. And who knows what's going to happen moving forward, even when Matthews comes back. All it is that we want to see value out of him. We want to see him be able to contribute in a way where it's not going to affect the offense. And to be honest with you, I don't think it will. Transition to the Manti Te'o question. There were some rumors. I mean, it's really all up in the air right now. You've heard Coach Mike McCoy say that he's week to week at this point. Basically says that he'll be out on the field when he's healthy. We don't know. Te'o's comments himself were a little bit, more optimistic. He just knows that he needs to get healthy. The injury that he has right now is not the same type of injury that hampered him last season, that he played all year with. But, it's too early to tell at this point. They're going to test him out. They're going to see how he reacts to rehab. Again, obviously this is an easy stretch to which to lose him. You have Cavell Connor to back him up. And according to a lot of people that we've talked to, they've wanted to see Cavell Connor take Manti Te'o's place. So, in essence, it's a position I don't want to say that you're going to take a step back from, but I don't think it's one that's going to really hurt the team as much as people are thinking. I know Te'o was having a great season so far. He led the team with 19 tackles. And that's big, especially transitioning from his first year to his second year where people wanted to see a lot of progress from him. But, again, I don't think there's anything definite about Te'o being out for the season. We're just going to have to see how his rehab goes from week to week.
And I mean, a couple things there with Manti. I mean, he was leading the team in tackles through the first 3 weeks of this season. So, I mean, there is going to be a loss there. But we saw that Cavell Connor can step up and step up in a big way. So it'll be exciting to see what he can do over the next couple weeks, transitioning over to the secondary in the play of Brandon Flowers.
Yeah, we touched on this, and we could see what this was like. We had spoken about it because he didn't play in that Seattle game, and we were wondering what his impact was going to be to the secondary. Also, Jaleel Addae also came back, and you saw the physicality that both of those guys brought to that defensive backfield. Flowers just had a great game in general. 4 tackles, 2 pass breakups. He almost had an interception that was right there in the end zone, and you could just see that, especially with the Eric Weddle hit towards the end of the game, that there is a new physical attitude that is brewing in the back of the the San Diego defense. They limited. Remember, we were talking about look out for Sammy Watkins, because coming off of an 8-catch, 100-plus yard touchdown performance in week 2, the Chargers limited him to only 2 catches for 19 yards. They knew exactly where E.J. Manuel was going to go with the ball, and they took it away from him. And E.J. Manuel's best passes, if you will, came on his check down to Fred Davis in the screen game. So they took the wide receivers and the tight ends completely out of the game for E.J. Manuel. They were very physical. They didn't allow themselves to get beat off the line. And again, it's just that attitude in general. So Brandon has just been, the games that we've seen him play so far in the very short time that he's been here for San Diego, he's added a new dimension and a new attitude to the cornerbacks and the safeties of that backfield.
You keep mentioning attitude and all that stuff, and I think the real word that I see that our secondary playing with that they have not played with in years, and that's confidence. They really feel like they can dictate what's going to happen. They can stop whatever you bring, and they're not afraid of any team out there. And the confidence level out there is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I love that you brought that word up, confidence, because I don't think there's been one time during this season so far that we've had to say the words blown coverage. I really haven't seen, any guys looking at each other, throwing their hands up, wondering who was supposed to be where. Everybody trusts one another, and everybody has that confidence in one another back there. And you have to have that, especially when, from a cornerback to a safety perspective, of whether or not this guy's going to need help or whether he's going to need help. But no, it's such a transition from the Derek Cox game where you almost had to always put a safety over there just in case Derek was going to get burned. And a lot of times that he did. But now when you have corners like the way that Sharice Wright has progressed from year to year, now that you add Brandon Flowers and bringing in our first-round rookie Jason Verrett, there is just so much more confidence, just like you said it, and just toughness and attitude and just a spirit of belief in each other to play well, to do their job, which is the most important thing that Mike McCoy keeps preaching to this team, is do your job. And you're seeing the result of it out there on the field.
Absolutely. The one thing that I think has been the biggest improvement for the first 3 weeks is the play of our secondary. And that's across the board. I mean, obviously, we get on Gilchrist a lot, but, he's definitely made some plays. The secondary as a whole has improved, which is only given the likes of, Kendall Reyes and Ingram before we lost them. Dwight Freeney, those guys to get to the quarterback. It gives them more time to get to the quarterback because they're covering the receivers.
Yeah, it was funny because we were talking about what the pass rush was going to mean to the secondary, that if you can get that pass rush off, you're taking some pressure off of that defensive backfield, because we didn't really know what was going to happen transitioning into this year with all the cornerback change. We were afraid that if we didn't have a good pass rush, that, quarterbacks would sit back there all day and be able to sling the rock around us just like they were doing last year. It turns out it's completely the opposite. The defensive secondary is picking up the linebackers in this case and are covering better, are forcing the quarterback to basically hold on to the ball a little bit more. That's allowing our linebackers to get to the quarterback and get that pressure, especially from the nose tackle and the defensive end points with Kendall Reyes and Corey Leggett. So it's a refreshing thing to say that something that we were actually wrong on, but in such a good way, because it's such a nice thing to see a physical secondary out there, especially when you've seen teams that have won championships like Seattle last year have that exact same type of blueprint.
In the chat room, I think a couple people have actually mentioned this. Sharice Wright is playing like a whole new cornerback out there when we see him play.
Yeah. It's when you see what he's done to grow, and I think that it may have been just for a lack of depth purpose that the Chargers needed to go out and get Derek Cox, but I think for the fact that they instilled not only was it good for Sharice, remember, let's just not forget, last year was Sharice's first year starting. And, he still had a few bugs to work out, stepping into that role. And making that transition from last year to this year, and just knowing what was expected of him, he has made such a big jump. And again, I think playing with Brandon and the fact that he actually wanted Jason Verrett coming out of the draft, he was absolutely excited when the Chargers ended up drafting him. I think just having that camaraderie and feeding off of that emotion and feeding off of that confidence and just knowing what he needs to do and what's expected of him, and he's going to go out and do it to the best of his abilities.
Right.
And he's just grown in such a great way that has helped this defense establish an identity. So no question about it, Sharice Wright is playing, the best football that we've seen of him yet, and it's a huge boost for this defense.
One other quick question on Twitter before we transition to the running game from Geppetto on Twitter. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on Kendall Reyes since he's been drafted, and do you see San Diego extending his contract?
I do ultimately. I've been pleased with Kendall. It's been difficult for the fact of, and I don't want to say this because when you see players, like Corey Liuget and the things that he can do, especially in this year that he's done and a dominant force that he's become. But again, every player needs at some point maybe one person next to him to free something up, and we don't have that dominating type of nose tackle. I'm not saying that Kendall necessarily needs that, but again, it's one guy feeding off one another, because the way that Corey's come about, and him and Kendall are very close. They feed off of one another. One guy's going to have a good week, then the other guy's going to have a good week, and that's just the way it works. I think that Kendall has established himself as personally a great leader and a great cog of this defensive line. So, as a veteran standpoint, especially when you have young guys that are coming up the ladder like Kenny Powell or Ryan Carruthers behind them, and when you don't have Lawrence guy like you just cut, you need this type of person moving forward. Kendall's only going to get better. We've only said this about every single person that we've pretty much drafted in the last 2 or 3 years, especially since Tom Telesco has taken over. But Kendall is a guy that is very, very high on his performance and does not want himself to take that type of drop-off. He's very critical of himself. So, again, if he's having an area where he's having a bad game here or a bad game there, he's going to realize it, and he's going to pick himself up. And I guarantee you the coaching staff and as well as the front office are going to notice it. And I believe that he'll be an integral part of this defense moving forward.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Jake, he still has this year and next year to show his development to the front office before we even have to come to that decision of whether he'll be back or not. But again, like you said, I think we'll see a growth in him, and you can't. Being on the defensive line, it's not a one-man job. You can't just break up every play by yourself. Those players are very, very rare. So you need to have a complement on that line, especially when you play in a 3-4, and there's only 3 guys attacking that line.
Yeah, we don't have any J.J. Watts on this team. It's not one guy that can basically do anything. I don't know about you guys, but ever since Jadeveon Clowney went out, the only person I've heard on that defense is J.J. Watt. I haven't heard about anybody else. But that's not what the Chargers are about. The Chargers are about a team environment and working together to accomplish a goal, and that takes everybody. And it doesn't matter if one guy's going to have a bad game or not. It's going to be the rest of the defense's job to pick him up moving forward. So again, like you said, it's just a progression. He's going to get better as time goes along. Excuse me. He's going to get better as time goes along, and this is only going to work out best for him and best for the team.
So since we're kind of on the subject already, what are your thoughts on why Lawrence Guy was cut, and as far as who do you think is going to emerge into that role?
I was kind of surprised as well as a lot of people were in the locker room about Lawrence getting cut. There were a lot of moves done yesterday, 10 moves in total, along with putting Danny Woodhead on IR and, taking the people, rotating him off the practice squad, filling those spots. But Lawrence was a guy, especially not only did he come from Indy, so Tom Telesco was familiar with him, he was familiar with the system. But, you take a veteran presence like that, especially on a very, very young defensive line, it was kind of a shocker to me. And, but again, if you look at it in a different type of way, that just means that the defensive coordinators, Mike McCoy, John Pagano, they have a lot of confidence in the guys who are behind them. We've got Ryan Carruthers, 5th-round rookie this year. He came on late in the preseason. He showed some flashes of what he can do personally. if you're going to get rid of a veteran, it's more likely that you replace him with a veteran. So I believe that Ricardo Matthews is going to be active for this game this week. I think he's going to step into that role. Again, another guy, spent time in Indy, played 2 full seasons this last year. So the guy has good experience, knows the system, knows what to expect from John Pagano, Tom Telesco familiarity, and you just need someone like that to fill that kind of void immediately. Again, Ryan Carruthers, I believe, will be a good rotational end moving forward, but in the immediate future, it's going to be Ricardo Matthews.
Got a good question for you, and it has to do with the fact that Tom Telesco keeps going to the same pond, and that's the Indianapolis, to pick these players up. Does he realize that there's 30 other ponds across the continental United States? I mean, I don't want to be too critical because everything he's done has been done well. But isn't it kind of funny that he keeps going to the same well to pull these guys up? Is it just a familiarity, or are these guys really that much better than the other available players out there?
Well, I know a lot of people think that way, and especially when it came to the whole running back situation, everybody thought that they would go, for Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, or the bigger names that were out there on the board. But think about it: when you have injury situations that arise on a short notice, remember this isn't the preseason,
right?
You don't have a month to get familiar with the playbook,
right?
You go out and you get someone A, who is familiar with the scheme, B, who's cheap, C, who's also a veteran. I mean, you get these guys and you're able to on a rotational basis because you can basically plug them in. There's not going to be that much of the disparity with learning the playbook. There's not going to be a huge learning curve to get used to. So first off, the guys that the Chargers are bringing in, they're expecting them to play and contribute immediately. And when you have that type of expectation for them, not only does it give confidence to the player, but just from their background alone, you have to look at it from a standpoint that this is what is going to work in these type of short-time injury situations where you need veterans to step in and contribute.
No, I totally agree. And let's transition into what you're calling the resurgence of the running game. Obviously we have lost Danny Woodhead. We've lost Ryan Matthews. Danny Woodhead for the year. Ryan Matthews, it's still yet to be seen. It could be 4, could be 5 weeks, could be longer. It's kind of a week-by-week case at this point. So you got Donald Brown in there. You got Brandon Oliver. Now you brought in Sean Drone. So
I thought they brought in P. Diddy at first.
What part of, as far as going into this week especially, how much playing time do you think he'll actually get in this game? Will it be significant, or will they kind of ease him in maybe late in the game if we do have a big lead?
Are we specifically narrowing it down to Sean Drone in this case, or Brandon Oliver?
You tell me.
Well, in that retrospect, I still think, obviously Donald's going to get a bulk of the carries. I mean, again, last week, his career high, 31 carries. But Chargers currently right now are a league worst 2.43 yards per carry. That's last in the league. Again, second half of last week's game against Buffalo, you run it 15 times for 7 yards. Buffalo knew it was coming. But again, you're basically being more safe than sorry in that game.
Right.
When you bring in a veteran like Sean Drone, I'm not standing here proclamating that he's going to all of a sudden fix the Chargers' run game. That's going to take progress.
Right.
One thing that you could be assured of is that Frank Reich is not going to go away from it. I definitely think for sure that you're going to see a little bit more of Brandon Oliver. I know that because he's now the number 2 guy for the time being, entrenched in there, they're going to want to get him a little bit more carries. They're going to want his confidence to build in real games, in real-time game speed. They're going to want to show him that they have enough trust in him to carry the ball. And when he carried it last week, he looked good. But again, I think for the time being, in the situation that we have here, I think the bulk of the carries are going to be split between Donald and Brandon. You're probably going to see a 20-10 disparity in that regard. And for passing downs, third down wise, when you need an extra blocker back there, you'll bring in Sean for pass protection. As far as, the resurgence of the run game, it's just going to keep going. And again, we don't know how long Ryan Matthews is going to be out for. But for as long as it's out, the Chargers are not going to shy away from running the ball because that's what gets their offense going.
We keep talking running backs, and I got one more question for you. Did the Chargers look at or give any serious consideration to trading for Ronnie Brown? He's somebody who knows the system. I'm off the top of my head right now. I think he's in Texas, yeah. Was that even explored? Do you have any idea if that was explored at all?
I don't know if that was explored, but I thought of the exact same type of scenario. It's like what we were just talking about, and Ronnie fit all of those facets, knows the system, comes on the cheap as a veteran, can pass block. It has all of those type of facets. But, at most, what would you have traded away? A seventh rounder in the end when you could have had a younger guy who, again, still has familiarity in that respect and is a free agent? Why would you want to give up a draft pick?
I agree.
I'm sure that I really don't believe that possibility. If Ronnie was a free agent, I believe it would have been a completely different story. If Ronnie was a free agent, I think there may have been a good chance you would have seen him back on the team. But for the fact that he was already signed by Houston, I don't think that they explored that possibility. When Marion Grice was picked up by Arizona, the Chargers were just a little bit too late to the gun to get to talking to him. They contacted him early Monday morning, but by that time he had already gone to Arizona, taken a physical, and it was too late. So, again, something on a short notice when you need to have the running back in there by Wednesday when the Chargers start practicing for their game on Sunday, you needed to have the best option because Ronnie Brown was already picked up. You had to go and you had to look at the free agent market. It wasn't something worth trading away a late-round draft pick for.
Yeah, and, we could talk about, this all day. As far as the running backs are concerned, the one thing that I was kind of wanting to bring up, and then it looks like Geppetto in the Twitter land wanted to bring up as well. So Ryan Matthews, hypothetically, he's back in a month and a half. Who's our number 3 running back? Is it a competition now between Sean and Brandon Oliver for that number 3 running back position? Or who else do we picked up? DJ Adams?
Yeah, he's on the practice squad, though.
So, who's that third running back moving forward? Is it set in stone that Sean Drawn's going to be on the roster when Ryan Matthews returns, or Brandon Oliver? Or is it kind of like now you guys got this next 4 weeks to prove yourself who's going to be that number 3 running back?
Well, it's going to depend. I think it's part of it is, who's going to step up to prove their worth at that spot. But again, it's also going to depend on where the Chargers are actually thinking about using either guy. They're already comfortable with Brandon Oliver. They know what he can do. They've had an entire offseason to look at him. With Sean, of course, you can't really make that distinction as of this moment right now. Again, Sean's going to come in and he's going to be limited, especially in this game against Jacksonville, to strictly pass blocking duties. That's my prediction. I don't really think you're going to see a lot of him in the run game other than that aspect. Moving forward, when you go against the Jets or when you go against Oakland and Kansas City, if Sean has become more acclimated with the system and they want to see what he can do, I'm sure at some point they're going to, because they know that Ryan Matthews is going to be coming back. So when they have to send somebody down, they're going to want to know that they have the best 53 on the roster. So I'm sure at some point, not this week, but in the 3 weeks following, you're going to progressively start to see Sean get a little bit more involved in the offense because the coaching staff's going to know what they are going to want to know what they have in him to make sure that they're going to make the right decision.
All right, Jake. As always, we appreciate your take on things. But, as always, before we let you hang up the phone line here, we got to have your prediction for this matchup against the Jaguars. Some people I've been listening to on the radio say this could be a potential trap game. I think that's a little outlandish. What's your thoughts about this upcoming matchup against the Jaguars at home?
I'll just say this much. The Jaguars defense right now gives up an average of 39.4 points per game to opposing offenses.
That's great news.
If you do not think that the Chargers can put up at least half that, then somebody is reading the tea leaves completely wrong. So I'm going to say the Chargers win this handily. especially if Blake Bortles is going to be starting again. I think John Pagano is going to come up with some creative ways to disrupt the rookie. Personally, I think it's going to be completely one-sided, and I'm going to take the Chargers in a lopsided battle here, 24-3.
That's a laugher.
24-3. I like it.
Get your popcorn ready.
Jake, as always, we appreciate you being part of the show. I don't know if you heard the first half of the show, but we're going to be down doing a live podcast at Qualcomm Stadium between sections A2 and A3 on Sunday before the Jags game. So I don't know if you're up for the challenge, but we'll be down there. So we'd love for you to come down and put a headset on.
Why couldn't you have done it? Why couldn't you have done it next week to the game where I'm actually going to be at? I'm going to be at the Jets game next week.
We're talking about doing it.
Well, we're talking about doing that too. So.
We might be there also.
Let's not forget. I do not live in Oceanside. I'm not just around the corner.
You're right. You're in the OC, Orange County. We got it down now. So as always, Jake, thanks for your take on things, and let's keep in touch. Hopefully, we get you down for that Jets game and get you on the headset and talk some Chargers football. So as always, Jake, we appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Jake.
Oh, no, gentlemen, tell you what, week to week, I can't tell you how much fun I have had coming on here talking Chargers football with you guys. Very much appreciate what you guys have done. I talked to you about it on Twitter, what you guys do for the fans, the content that you guys put out there. You guys are the man.
Well,
You're
thank
awesome.
you. Your contribution goes without stating, man. You do a great job as well. We love your take as well. So thank you, man. Thanks for pubbing us out and even showing up once in a while from the OC.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
talk to
buddy.
you next
Take
week.
care. So, guys, that was Jake's Take with Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com. We appreciate all your questions. But it's time to open up the phone lines. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Jaguars game coming up. Going to talk about some of the moves that the Chargers have been making. They've 10 moves in the last 24 hours or so. So we're going to be opening up the phone line 619-866-4567. So just hang on and we'll get you on.
Better keep him in reach. You got a body like a beast and hands like a thief. Cool as Drew Brees inside the pocket. Give me your wallet and your keys. I'll out cock it. Or I might cut you as good as LT. Back and forth, left to right.
Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
Are you looking for a bar for your next sporting event? Come to Cali Comfort Sports Bar in the heart of Spring Valley, where they are passionate about sticking to the true barbecue traditions. Using their unique low and slow method, you are guaranteed great barbecue no matter what you order. From pulled pork to tri-tip, football to MMA, Cali Comfort is your one-stop shop for all your sports and barbecue needs. Find them online, CaliComfortSD.com.
How about them Chargers? And now go Chargers, go!
How about them Chargers?
All right, guys, we are back. This is the time where we open up the phone line, 619-866-4567. Feel free to call in. Let's talk some Chargers football. It's all about the fans. We are a show for fans.
By the fans.
And this is all about you guys.
Want to welcome Brian, by the way. He joined the chat room while Jake was on there. We got a lot of people in the chat room.
They're just chatting away in there.
Yes.
We're not even answering them. They're just chatting away. These damn chatters. Who you think you are, a bunch of chatters? Knock it off.
Big Brian, 619. You can follow him on Twitter. He's a huge follower of us.
He's going to be down at the Charger game, I assume?
He is. I heard he's going to be over there at the Cali Comfort in H3 getting some tacos
That's a
on.
little far
Wait.
from A3. I might have to do a jog, a light jog over there. A
Silent
jogging.
J.
It's a silent J.
Yeah.
It'd be worth it for some tacos.
As
though.
well as
Yeah.
SoCal Trav and Bolt 709 will be there as well, from
Right
what
on,
I
man.
from what I
Nice.
heard.
And we hope that all three of you will be calling into this next segment because this is all about the fans. Let's dive into some of the moves that were made.
Okay.
Obviously, we talked about Sean Drawn. DJ Adams was one of the other players that was brought on.
Hey, initially, guys, I just want to bring. When they said Sean, John, or John, I go,
Yeah.
wow,
Sean,
P. Diddy's
Wow.
coming to the Chargers. That's great. He's going to liven up this group with some rap music. No, but at first I'm like, who? And then it kind of rang a bell. But yeah, I mean, geez, Sean Drawn. That's not the guy I was thinking of.
Jake brought up an interesting point. To me, one of the most overlooked aspects of a running back is their pass blocking ability. And I didn't know anything about Sean Drone, but to be honest with you, I didn't even know he was an NFL football player until we picked him up, to be completely honest. The fact that he does have pass blocking ability, and that's one of the things they were looking for. That makes me, somewhat excited about, the fact that they're probably not going to throw the whole playbook at him. They're going to say, hey, we want you to pass block on these plays. These are your assignments. This is what we're going to be doing here. My only question is do you guys think he's going to be active this week?
Probably not this week. He's probably going to dive in a week. But that's what.
You don't think Sean's going to be active?
Yeah,
he'll probably be on the roster in case of emergency.
I think he has to be active.
But I don't
we
think
have
he
to have three running backs.
But he doesn't get any snaps unless an emergency happens, which we need to knock on wood that doesn't happen.
Well, like I was saying, I believe that I believe that he's going to get some action late in the game because we're going to be up by 3 touchdowns.
Right. Well, I mean, that
that's
could
a
happen.
perfect time to bring him into the game when we have a big lead.
Garbage time, yeah, I don't mind that, but he's got to learn his offensive. He can't just throw him in there with a Phillip Rivers type offense,
right?
And that's why Woodhead was so valuable, not because of the little intangibles. It's the pass blocking for Phillip Rivers. He does a great job of chipping and all those other nice things, but that's a big part of being a running back.
Right.
Can I bring up a name that I heard a lot, and I want to explain what I heard was LaMichael James.
Yeah.
A lot of people call him for
Intriguing.
LaMichael James, and I was wondering myself, why did we not take a look at him? And just for for Charger fans who don't know and who don't follow Oregon when he was there.
Oh man.
What I heard was a big issue with LaMichael James is his pass blocking.
Really?
Talking to Oregon fans, he was well known to not be the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Oh,
so
didn't get it upstairs.
So just for all just want to pass that news along to all Charger fans listening who were upset that LaMichael James wasn't brought in or even looked at,
or even the law firm coming in here.
Yeah,
I heard I heard Green Ellis is injured right now, and there was
we don't need any more of those.
A lot of people, there's a lot of talk on Twitter when we were trying to figure out who the Chargers were going to pick up, and a lot of people talking about LaMichael James were talking about he doesn't really hold onto the ball very well. He fumbles the ball a lot, and that was a concern.
That was one of the biggest reasons the 49ers got rid of him last Monday.
I just like the fact that LaMichael James had, he returns kicks. He's dynamic.
He's got the speed element going.
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, I'm actually a fan of his, and I like him as a running back, and he stuck it up our pooper when we played against him.
He intrigued me a lot when the rumors started flying.
But he's very one-dimensional, and I think that what the Chargers ask of their running backs, you have to have a little bit more to your game than what he has.
He's one-dimensional, but he's one-dimensional in the dimension we need him, and that's to wear down a defense, especially late in the game.
Right.
That Buffalo game would have been perfect for him to pound the ball in the fourth quarter and just beat up their defensive line.
Right. No, and ground and pound. I mean, that's part of the Charger offense. Now that we don't have a player like Ryan Matthews that can do both and is versatile, now we have a one-trick pony in a Donald Brown where he'll bounce it outside, but he's not your prototypical bounce it outside type of running back. It looks like we got a phone call, guys.
Is this SoCal Trav?
The one and only, yes.
Oh, nice, Trav.
What's up, buddy? So what do you want to talk about Chargers football?
Well, first and foremost, I got two things I got to get off the top of my head. One, fucking Spinaroonie, and 2 weeks in a row.
Hashtag Spinaroonie.
Spinaroonie 2 weeks in a row. My man Freeney went after and put his ass through the fucking dirt. Excuse my French.
No, you're fine. We're not on AM radio. We're on podcast.
You said it. You said it perfectly.
Fuck the FCC.
Well, hey, what?
Number two, hit by Weddle. dude, it still gives me chills in my back. That
Ouch.
guy just. Oh.
You think it gives chills in your back? What about the guy that got tackled?
Yeah,
He's going to be hurt until week 7.
that wasn't a tackle. That was a torpedo.
Dude, that was like fucking nuclear missile launched at Russia, dude.
That was impressive.
Yeah, I think everybody watching that all went ooh, you know, that just shook.
I rewound it 7 times.
Yeah.
And then I had to hit the live button because I missed like 3 plays. That was bad.
Yeah, Trev, I know last week you agreed with Justin and you thought it was going to be, you know, 34-17.
Mm-hmm.
I was off by a bit.
Yeah, a little bit, you know.
Hey, still 2 scores.
Yeah, you weren't as close as I was or anything, but
Here we go.
Here we go. But what do you think this week? I know Jake had a 24-3. What do you got the score being this week against the Jaguars here?
Oh, this week? Well, considering that the Jaguars have no secondary, they have no defense, they have no team.
They shouldn't even show up.
And they haven't since their inception in the NFL, so it's pretty sad.
So it's safe to say. So it's safe to say we have more talent on the IR than their entire roster.
Dude, we have more talent on our practice squad than they have on the entire roster.
All right, give it to us.
I'm gonna go big this time because I trust in Rivers, and the guy has been on fire. He's been spot on by passing, and with Floyd and with Allen, and it's epic. I'm gonna go. All right, you guys are gonna probably laugh, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say first off, the Chargers are gonna score the most points this entire week out of any team in the NFL. Okay, that's number
fair.
one.
I think that's a safe bet.
I'm going 41. 41-10.
Dude, you know my score is so close to that.
It's gonna be a slaughter, dude. It's gonna be a slaughter.
My score is so close to that, and when you hear it, it's like you read my mind.
Hey, Trav, Kellen Clemens is going to pass for 300 yards in this game.
Anybody think?
Dude. Cerise Wright's gonna pass.
No, he's going to run for 3 touchdowns.
Anybody think that? In all honesty, anybody think that Kellen Clemens might end up getting some snaps in the fourth quarter?
I do. Because my score will blow you guys out of the water.
Yeah.
If the score is open enough by like the third quarter, I think you'll see him come into the fourth quarter.
Right.
Really quick, one more question for you, Trav. Who do you think what player is gonna stand out this week for you?
What player is gonna stand out this week?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Connor because let me tell you why. Because after reading what he said, I don't know if you guys read his quote or not. He says, "I'm ready."
Mm-hmm.
That guy, I like him, and I'm glad he's in there now. I think you're going to see him get to the core. I think you're going to see him get to Bortles like there's no tomorrow. I think it's going to be Connor, and I think Connor's going to fucking annihilate Bortles and probably get a couple sacks, hopefully. But, of course, I always got to go with my man Freeney with the Spinneroonie, too.
Spinneroonie.
Hashtag
but
Spinneroonie.
I think Connor's actually going to – I think he's going to show the world that he is ready to play on the Chargers defense as a starting linebacker.
Totally agree, Trav. Totally agree.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. We'll be stopping by the Cali Comfort. I know you'll be there with Big Brian and Bolt 709. So look forward to seeing you, man, and saying what's up. And, we'll come on over, put on a headset.
A2, A3.
Go ahead, I'm sorry?
A2 and A3. Between A2 and A3 is where we're going to be doing our podcast between 9:30 and 11. So if you're there, cruise on over, grab Big Brian, pull him by the ear, and come throw a headset on.
Be gentle.
I will do that. I'll be wearing the jersey of the man who put that guy into the dirt on our defensive over the weekend.
32 action.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you following the show and chiming in, and I hope we have you each and every week.
All right, I'll see you guys Sunday in the parking lot.
Later,
see you then, man.
Peace out.
Later.
Sounds so threatening, man. See you guys
in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to whoop your ass.
By the old willow trees.
Okay, I'll bring my freaking syringes and bats. All right, man. Jeez.
So, again, that opens up the phone line again, 619-866-4567. So what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, obviously, as a fan and the way the Jaguars have been playing, it's safe to say it's going to be a complete annihilation like it's been for the first 3 weeks of opponents playing the Jags. Is there any chance that this can be a ball game?
The only thing
aside from Phillip Rivers being sidelined,
the thing that scares me is Blake Bortles because I don't know what he can do, and he showed in the preseason, and I know it's preseason. This isn't even close to what a preseason game would be like. This is going to be bullets flying. Pagano, like Jake had said earlier, he's gonna mix it up. confuse the kid. He's going to look at things he's never even seen before. So that being said, it's intriguing, and it's a little mystifying because we've never seen this kid play football.
One thing that when you're trying to bring up a young quarterback, you're going to rely a lot on is you're going to rely on your backside of the backfield, and you're going to rely on your tight ends. And that's if we're going to pick anything that's given us any trouble on our defense, it's been tight ends on broken plays, and it's been running backs catching passes out of the backfield. So that's my only concern is the fact that those are going to be things that he's going to be looking to do, and those are the real places that we've had. I don't want to even say trouble because our defense has played so good this year, but that's really the only chink in our armor so far this season.
I guess to stay on topic with tight ends, but move over to the Chargers side of the ball. I did write an article, Secret Weapon, on SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com. I'm assuming you guys saw it.
Yes.
Right.
If you guys haven't, you can check it out. And I mean, it wasn't the numbers that I had hoped, but Ladarius Green really did come out and show some of the weapons that he can pose on.
Well,
the
you
opposing
finally
defense.
stopped picking him as your player of the game, and he finally,
You're putting too
by the
much
way,
pressure on the
Keenan
poor kid.
Allen called me this week and said, "Don't let Josh talk about me." He said, "Just tell him to not mention me because I would have a big game."
In the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax, relax.
Yeah, no. Again, looking at this game, like you said, Justin.
Do we want to do our predictions right
No,
now?
I think we can wait a little bit, but just piggybacking
right.
what you said. The biggest thing is the fear of the unknown of Blake Bortles.
Yeah, it's mystifying.
I mean, you just don't know what to expect. You
Big,
can't,
strong quarterback can deliver the ball, but he's never been in an NFL game on a regular season.
But how many times do we see a backup come in and do really well because the defense isn't ready for him? I mean, it's different. We have a week to prepare, but still not much to see.
Another thing that we need to look for, if I'm correct, we don't have a interception this season, do we?
No, we
Nope.
do not.
Gilchrist should have
Dropped a few.
Yeah, well, Gilchrist should have
Weddle
one.
dropped
Weddle
one.
should have one, and Flowers has also dropped one. By the way, as fantastic as Flowers has played, and I've really loved watching him play, and I've loved watching his attitude, but he certainly fits right in.
Yeah.
When he dropped that interception, I was like, oh my God, come on.
Isn't there a little bit, I mean, not to get off top, but it's the swagger of this defense.
I love it.
Aren't they nasty? It looks like they just – and did you see – I don't know if this is just makes you guys happy, but having Jaleel Adai back with those dreads and then seeing Jason Verrett with those dreads and they're flying around. I'm like, this is great. Like, who are these dread heads back here? And they're just pounding people. I'm like, dude, I love it.
It would really be nice to get a couple interceptions
It would be.
this
It would
game.
be.
It really would be.
Yeah, it would be I think it'd be a confidence boost for them.
Right, just something else to add because they've had tight coverage and
They've gotten some sacks, which
Right.
have been great. But now they need the picks.
yeah.
Yeah, and those I think will come, especially in this game. Like we said, this will be a game where we'll really see what the offense can do. I think if we don't do well in the running game or we don't blow these guys out, then they'll be concerned a little bit.
It's safe to say for me, looking at the Jaguars, playing fantasy football, players. So looking at the Jaguars, you see Hearns and you see another guy named I can't think of his name right now. It's slipping my mind. Marquise Lee's out actually, so
Yes,
never
he is.
mind. They're not very threatening on offense.
No,
so
they're not.
when you look at what he has to offer, Bortles has to work with, it's not much. I think the Chargers need to focus on stuff in the run when the opportunity arises and make him throw, and then that's where our opportunities will come.
A couple things, a little bit in chat room here. SoCal Trav says he'll bring some Chips Ahoy cookies as a peace offering. Good call.
We love Chips
Yeah,
Ahoy.
we love those. And SD Fan 83 says they're defenders for a reason about the drops.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
We totally agree with you. We're just giving them a good ribbon here.
Yeah.
What about Verrett and Adai? Hashtag Predator Nation.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Alien Nation, like Predator Nation. Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely.
I do like that.
Yeah. Also, I mean, talking about the Jaguars and what they have to offer, again, not being much. Toby Gerhart, running back, been bagged up for a while.
Okay.
Is he going to be playing?
Just wrap him up.
I think so. Cecil Shorts as a receiver.
Big running backs give us a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
So obviously, I think they're going to depend a lot on the run early. So it'll be important to stuff the run. Make sure we don't let that running back get out of the backfield.
What about the punishing Predators?
Punishing Predators?
Yes.
I like that. Verrett hits hard.
We need to get some P's in there. What do you guys got?
I think I need 8 games out of Verrett before I give him a nickname.
Oh, dude, no, I'm giving it. Dude, he's well worth the pick.
Although he's been playing,
He's been good.
Watching him play has really been really fantastic.
It's impressive.
It really has been.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see in the running game?
Touchdowns?
I want to see more DJ Fluker at the fullback position.
Okay, yeah. Like J.J. Watt was catching catches for Houston
The problem
other
is
day.
you can't put him. You got to put somebody else at tackle.
What is he,
and,
the Fridge Perry
wanna-
in the Super Bowl?
You don't want to. You don't want to injure Darren's crush either. So we gotta be careful. Fluker, we've talked about this before. It's really, really fun to watch that guy. That guy looks like he really not only enjoys playing football, but really enjoys hitting dudes.
He loves to crush people.
I got to think that sometimes if we get a big lead, he almost hopes for a turnover so he can tackle a guy.
He likes to bruise him up a little.
We need to put that clip of him
Bodies.
pile driving that
The
Raiders
Raider.
defensive
Raider
lineman
guy.
on our website.
I
can watch that all day.
The best 15 yards I've ever seen our offense have to give up. I loved it.
Yeah, when I want a good chuckle, that's what I watch.
Yeah.
So, guys, as we keep saying, this is your time to shine. So 619-866-4567, be a part of the conversation. One thing that I think we're going to see a lot of, I personally think we're going to see Sean late in the game.
Sean Puffy Combs?
Exactly.
Nice.
And I think it's a good thing because he needs to be thrown in the fire. He needs to pick up this offense, and what better of a chance to pick it up and as far as gameplay.
Right.
I mean, practice is one thing.
Right.
Practice is great. You can learn formations and learn which hole you'll be hitting, but the game is truly what you're gonna put your talent together.
There's another good good comment in the chat room.
Let me see here.
Before we take that, we got a phone call coming in really quick. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies. Who do we got on the phone?
Hey, this is Bull Baby.
Oh,
what's
hey,
going
what's up,
on, Bull Baby?
How's it going?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yeah, I love the draft today. I think I got a little nickname for our D, the Harry D.
Man, you just brought so many smiles to the table today. That's awesome. That sounds like a strip joint.
And it's funny that it came from a female listener, because if it came from us, it'd be like, oh no.
Yeah, what's wrong with that guy?
That guy's a perv right there.
Perverts. I'm not tuning in anymore.
And so since we have you on the phone, what's your prediction, first of all? What's your prediction for this Sunday, and who's your player standout?
Oh, player standout. Okay, well, first of all, the prediction is obviously a Charger win. I think I'm with you guys. I don't like the unknown factor of a brand new guy to deal with that we haven't seen on tape too much.
Right.
But because you just never know. I think I can recall a few Charger games that we've been a little bit surprised by guys. Tim Tebow was one of them.
Stop, don't say that name in here. That's funny.
Yeah, but as far as the player of the game, I want to see Cordero Law.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to see him get a few plays and shock some folks up there.
Yeah, he was one of my disappointments this year when he got cut. I was he went to practice squad, right?
Yeah.
So I was pretty bummed about that. I really liked Cordero Law, and I'm glad somebody else likes him just as much as I do.
Oh yeah, I think he's got the potential to be a game wrecker.
Right.
So looking at your timeline, it looks like you're a huge fan of Verrett, huh?
Oh yeah, I love Verrett.
Well, we appreciate you calling into the show.
We need a score.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we need to hear your score. It's going to be close. It's going to be a blowout. What do you think?
I think we're probably looking at maybe 28-13.
Ooh,
okay.
28-13.
I like those numbers, actually.
But you know what? That totally shows we get out to a big lead, and then we do like we did against Buffalo and kind of run the ball, and maybe they pick up a late score because we're playing that stupid prevent defense that I hate.
Right. Hey, Bolt Baby, what was that nickname you had again earlier?
The Harry D.
Yes, the Harry B. Right on. Thank you so much. I'm going to write that down.
Right.
I'm going to jot that down right there.
Appreciate you calling into the show.
No problem.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. That's hilarious.
That's awesome. I'm glad we have some female listeners because you add a little diverseness to this show we have
of course.
of males sitting around a dining room table here.
Back to the chat room.
Well, we're talking.
SD Fan 83 said, "How about that poor safety from Buffalo when King Dunlap smashed him?
Did you see
on
that?
Royals touchdown?
There's a picture going around, and he looks
awesome.
like he's Jolly Green Giant, and this little midget man. I don't mean to offend anybody out there, but this little person looks like he shouldn't even be on a football. He looks like me out there, and he's crushing this man. And it's like he's 6'9", 350 pounds.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If Eddie Royal's 5'11", it looks like Dunlap is like 12 feet tall.
Oh, it looked bad. Poor guy.
And then a really quick couple things. First, chat room. Darren says, even if they borrowed Aaron Rodgers on Sunday, the rest of the team is below par. Smash them no matter who plays QB. Come on, Darren. Blake Bortles, he's an NFL quarterback. You gotta give him a chance. You know?
It's an NFL team, Darren. I don't even know why you're walking up that tree right now. I can't believe you would say something like that. Unbelievable. Let's get our head right for Sunday, okay? Bullshit.
And then Geppetto on Twitter says his player standout for Week 4 is Brandon Flowers. Need I say really more? Chargers got a steal. You know what? Yeah. That's funny he mentions that because that is really a steal.
5-finger discount.
He's been so good that for what we got him for, which was peanuts. It's been a great deal.
We lucked out that they ended up cutting him so late after all of the free agency stuff was done and everybody had already set their team. That was one position that we still needed some depth at. And so he came around. I'm trying to remember. He came and he visited us, and then did he go to Arizona after us? He went somewhere else, or he had planned to go somewhere else.
He wanted free food, so he went and wine dined, and then
there really wasn't any. Any other teams that really showed a ton of interest, and we just lucked out. I just think we lucked out.
And for those teams, I say thank you very much.
Darren in the chat room says, "Suck it, bitches."
Yeah, he says the Jags aren't 3-0, so like it mattered that it mattered that
they're still an NFL team, Darren. Okay,
get
your head right.
The Buffalo Bills were 2-0 in spite of EJ Manuel, Darren. Not because of him.
You ever seen the movie Any Given Sunday, Darren? Knock it off with those formalities. Knock it off. Come on, come in here with that BS.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. Should we go over round table, see what our scores are?
I think that's a good idea.
You know?
All right, let's go with Jason. He looks
Mikey's all excited.
Oh, no, I'm ready. I told you.
Mike's been trying to give a score for the last half hour.
No. Actually,
no.
He's got a hot date. I mean,
Fishbowl?
Fishbowl. All right. So, again, mine was very close to SoCal Travs, but I actually have this one going 45-10.
Wow, 45.
I think 45-10. I think we'll give up a touchdown late. I really don't. As much as of an NFL quarterback that Blake Bortles is, I just don't think they have anything on our defense, especially the way we're playing. They really don't have much of a running game, much of an offense, period, and the defense is terrible.
Well, what everybody forgets, too, is Bortles came into a game that was up 44-0.
Yeah.
I mean, he came into a game where it was obvious that they were playing prevent defense.
Right.
And he had all the underneath stuff that he wanted.
That's a wonderful point, actually.
You know what I mean?
And one more thing. That touchdown that he threw was a 20-yard pass that they broke 2 tackles and took 60 yards the rest of the way.
Right.
So that was one of his touchdowns.
Didn't he also throw a pick six in that game?
I don't
know.
I know this is off topic, but since we're talking about predictions, I predict the defense comes up with 3 turnovers. This Sunday. Okay. So you can write that down.
Why don't you just
and we'll talk about that next week.
Put that in the notes category.
And my player of the game is Keenan Allen.
Nice.
I think he breaks out this week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Josh ain't allowed to talk about him.
Nope. He's not allowed to talk about anybody.
Who's going next? You want me to go next now?
Go ahead.
Maybe Blake Bortles.
I think Danny Woodhead's going to have a standout game this week.
Hey.
0 turnovers.
Don't mess with my boy. All right? We're still mourning the loss.
Your twin.
I'm still in, bereavement mode here. Jaguars Bolts at the Q. Yeah. Okay. 45-5 is what I have, and I had that. I've had that.
45-5.
I've had that the whole time, and you might be asking yourself, where's that 2 points coming from? And I'll explain that to you. We'll be deep in the back of our own end zone, and Kellen Clemens will stumble on a lineman's foot and fall into the end zone for the 2.
I thought they were going to score a touchdown, but they were, the refs just go, you guys suck so much, we're taking one off the board.
Right. Yeah. So 45-5 would be my final score. Phillip Rivers goes for 425 and 4 TDs, paving the way for Kellen Clemens in the whole second half.
So Rivers
play.
is going to be your player of the game?
Yeah, did you hear me, though? Phillip will throw
Yeah.
for that in the
In the
first
first
half.
half,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. And my standout player is not going to be Phillip, obviously, because that's a no-brainer.
Okay.
All right? It'll be Jason Verrett taking a pick six to the house and doing the fucking high step in
I
with
sure
the
hope
Deion
he
Sanders.
plays because he hasn't been practicing.
Well,
so I hope
he'll
he
be
plays.
playing. Don't worry. I'll make him play.
First and foremost, the Jaguars don't score a touchdown in this game. I agree totally with Justin, and I got it at 38-9.
I don't see – how do they score a touchdown?
I just told you they broke like 2 tackles.
No. How do they score against us
They
a
don't.
touchdown?
They don't.
How do they
That's
do
why
it?
it's going to be 38-9.
On the prevent defense.
38-9.
They'll eventually
Very nice.
chip away to the end zone. somehow.
27-6. Come on, Darren. Have a little faith in your team. It's an NFL team.
All right.
Come on.
Wait, who does he have winning the game?
I'll tell you what. You say that. That's funny that he has that score. I'm going to write it down here real quick
Did he
because
pick your brain? You guys work together, don't you?
we do. But we haven't talked this game very much.
Gotcha.
I actually have my player of the game is going to be Donald Butler. I think it's
Love
about
him.
time for him to get an interception.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see some stuff out of him, and especially since I think they're going to be trying to do a lot of checking down and a lot of hitting of the linebackers. I think he's going to make them pay. I actually have the Chargers winning 27-13.
There you go.
And
Wow.
the reason why is I just don't. The Chargers
That's a lot
aren't
of field goals.
the Chargers aren't the type of team that runs the score up. They just aren't. It
They don't
doesn't
have to
seem
be.
like
The Jaguars
no.
can't tackle.
Right. I just don't. I don't see them running up the score. I think I see them going into halftime with like a 24-3 lead or a 24-0 lead, and then just salting the game away and
Did
end
you
up winning
hit your head
27.
at work today? What's wrong with you?
Hey, a win is a win.
I
is a
agree
win
with you.
is a
I'll
win.
take it all day. I'll take a 9-6 win. I don't care.
And that's why, which I didn't get to predict my player of the game.
Hornberger.
My player of the game is going to be Donald Brown for Jason's exact reason. I think he's going to be able to just completely
Way to go out on a limb.
dominate
He's gonna get like
in the
70
second half.
carries.
Yeah.
He's going to completely dominate in the
Yeah.
second half because we're going to be up so much. They're just going to go to the
Yeah,
run
no,
like
you're
they
right.
did against Buffalo.
You're right.
And I predict he's going to break 150.
Miss Cleo
Wow.
predicts
Write
150
that
over
down.
here. Miss Cleo.
150 yards.
SD fan says his unconventional player of the game will be Rich Ornberger.
With 2 touchdowns.
That's awesome.
You know what though? If we can stop them from getting any pressure on Phillip Rivers, this game.
Stop it.
Yeah, that's
Stop.
really their only
No.
hope is getting pressure
Yeah,
on
no.
Yeah,
Rivers.
and they might. They might generate a pass rush.
Yeah, exactly. If any team can, but I mean, if he does, if we
They are
do
first
them,
in sacks in the NFL.
I
mean, I'm not kidding. They
is that
are.
given-
They're number one in the NFL in sacks. But against the run, they're like ranked, I think, towards the end of the class there.
So yeah, I mean, give a team.
Darren says long drives too, which is true. We need to put long
Yeah,
drives.
that's
Just
that,
like
I think he's talking about why we don't run up the score, and it's true. We're not a quick strike team,
but we
so-
can be this week though.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
we
it's,
certainly
it's,
can be.
It's there for the taking against
Yeah.
the defense of this caliber.
Oh, you know what? Who I should have gone with?
Who?
Malcolm Floyd.
Really?
Oh.
This is a game
Too
set
late.
up for him.
Hey, let
I
me
know.
check with this. This is a pen. I've already written it in
Oh
pens.
man,
Yeah.
this game is set up for him for
Yeah.
like a
Right.
long shot
Well,
right here.
That's a good call.
Dang it, man.
Well, during the game, I'll talk to you about plays and conventional wisdom.
Thanks, man.
So, guys, as always, we appreciate you chiming in the
Defensive
chat room.
concepts. Can somebody
Some schemes.
defensive concepts and
Right.
why the offense is doing certain things on certain plays.
Right. We can do like a roundabout, right?
Yeah.
We could talk to each other about those.
Yeah. I
All
just
right,
want you to
cool.
come by and explain it to me.
Well, okay.
While I'm
Not
eating.
during the game, though.
Yeah, we'll be at the game.
No, but don't do it because I don't want to be bothered
Yeah.
while I'm watching the game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So don't explain your concepts to me.
Okay.
All right? I don't like to
Darren,
be
hold on.
bugged.
Darren,
I like to eat my chow mein in peace. Damn it.
Darren
Oh, here
in the
it
chat
is.
room. They're an NFL team. Must respect them.
He's right. Actually, we should respect them. They are
Really?
an NFL team.
Really?
And
Because the
they-
Eagles.
I gave him 9 points. What does he
Yeah.
want?
yeah, seriously, dude.
I give them 13.
From NFL Europe.
They're from NFL Europe, yeah.
You know,
In the Europa League.
I don't think. Again, I don't think we think this is going to be. You know, there's certain games of schedule you expect to win. I think this is it. I don't think we're just.
No.
We're
I'll take
poking
nine.
having fun.
I'll
We're
take,
having fun.
I'll
We're
take
having
a
fun.
9-7 win, just like Jason said. I don't care as long as we win the game. I don't want it to be 9-7, and I
Right.
think that'd be very embarrassing. But if it happens and we win, I don't care. As
We all
long as
want to
Phillip
laugh.
Rivers is healthy.
We all want to laugh that Rivers doesn't play very much of the second half.
Exactly.
Honestly.
And
we
I-
don't want that.
I
We all
agree
want
with
that.
And I will say the Eagles and the Redskins and the Colts, none of them respected them. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why we.
Oh,
should.
and okay. Are we wrapping up here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just quick announcement here with the not announcement, but San Diego State versus Oregon State, real quick. What were your thoughts on the game? I know. I was pretty embarrassed.
Terrible.
Just to get some Aztecs in here, because we haven't touched on them in a while, and the football season, it's just been disappointing.
Yeah, but this week means a lot because we're playing UNLV.
Oh,
and they beat us down last year.
Of course.
So
and now it's here at Qualcomm.
That's what Rocky Long has basically said is the season starts now.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and what else can he say? That was what an egg they laid in that game. We all thought that there's, hey, okay, they almost won that other game. We got a chance to really do something here, and they just shit
It's
the
almost
bed.
like they didn't come out with any energy.
And you know what? How much is it losing Gazelle Ruffin?
It's huge.
It has to be. Your threats,
Huge.
and now you have Judge on. That's it. That's all you have, Judge.
I mean, Mills was the main guy,
Mills is
and
okay.
Mills is 5'9". He's my height, so
yeah.
that's gonna be tough.
That's not
complex issues.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that, and then a reminder. Qualcomm Stadium Sunday morning, 9:00. Be there, be square. We're going to try to start it up at 9:30, go to about 11. We're not going to do calls. We're just going to interact with fans. It's a BYOB type of thing. It's kind of late notice. We didn't put much together. We have a bunch of friends with the camper there. It's going to be fun. We'll have the banner up, hang out, drink some brews. Let's chit-chat some Charger football before the games start, and let's enjoy the Sunday, man. This is fun. We're getting all jacked up,
Yeah.
And location is between sections A2 and A3.
Right, just show up down there.
Look for and there's probably going to be a ton of them, so this is redundant, but look for the Chargers canopy.
Right.
And look for 4 really good-looking guys sitting underneath that canopy with some headsets on.
Oh, and his Woodhead jersey.
Yeah, who's gonna be sitting under that canopy?
Are we not going to be there?
Yeah. Darren quickly in the chat room. He's not a big fan of
Quinn Kaler.
Quinn Kaler.
Yeah, not either.
He
No
says
one
get
is.
him out of there. I don't think a lot of
I
people
said
are. The problem is there's not really.
Yeah.
We should have lured Steven Rivers here, and I was.
Oh, wouldn't that have been
Get
awesome?
out of here.
No.
dude.
What, dude?
Get
We
out
should have got him, and we should have offered him.
He would have never played here because
Why?
we have Jake Rodriguez
Who
coming
gives
next
a
year.
fuck? I want fucking Phillip Rivers' brother here.
Oh, my God.
His mentor lives 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
He plays in the NFL.
Unless his mentor can come
That
play
means
for us.
the NFL means something to somebody, okay?
All right,
Darren.
cue me up some music.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Calm down there.
All right, sorry. I'm getting all fired up in here.
4 good-looking guys and Jason. Good job, Darren.
All right, guys, thanks as always for joining the conversation. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans.
By the fans.
And we are out.
See you Sunday.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers, San Diego Superchargers, San Diego.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the Low and Slow Barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmo, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.